Hello world, it's Phai here again with another random pop-up. Now the reason why I am not in front of the camera at this current moment is because I am not in the mental space to film in front of the camera at any capacity, and I will explain that later as I go along with this sort of podcast-like video. Lately, I've been focusing more on my mental health. I've always believed that if you lose your mind, you lose everything. Ever since I was young, I really used to be afraid of any type of disease that had to do with the mind, like Alzheimer's or dementia. Before that, it was death, but as you get older, you kind of come to terms with death and the reality of death. But for some reason, since the time where I started fearing losing my mind, so anything that's related to that type of disease or loss has always scared me. So I began to dive deep into trying to make sure that I balance a healthy mind. And that comes with what I eat and even how I think, and as well as how I exercise my mind. And the reason why I wanted to take full focus of my mental health is because so much has happened as far as throwing me off because of COVID-19. Prior to the pandemic, I remember a time when I started feeling really burned out and really stressed and having this mental exhaustion to where by Tuesday latest, I felt like I couldn't even go on for the rest of the week. Like I had to dig so far deep to keep going. And I tried to figure out what was wrong with me. So I took some time out to myself and tried to analyze like what's going on. Am I depressed? Is this what depression is? And I realized that I have not taken leave since December 2018. So that's almost a year and a half ago. Once I realized that, I decided, okay, well, I need to fix it. So I'm going to take leave in May. So that was my projection month. And I started preparing and planning, looking at places to travel to, places to stay, saving money. And that was giving me the strength and getting me excited, to keep going. That was what I needed because I had a light at the end of the tunnel. And even though I was still tired and I was still battling this burnout, I knew that at some point I was going to be able to detach myself and take that time out for myself in order for me to regroup myself. Additionally, what also helped me a lot was that I used to take advantage of the weekends because of my burnout and because I tend to be very selective with, what I do and who I spend time with and my energy on. I used to just disappear. I would go off post and find a city somewhere in Korea and explore, interact with the locals, and essentially kind of loosen up. And I didn't want to be anywhere near post because I didn't like always seeing the same people I work with, same people day in and day out. I needed something different. That was my escape. This is no offense to anyone I work with, but I'm one of those people that I just can't just be with the same people. And like I said, I'm very selective. So out of the, whatever number of people I deal with, maybe one or two are people I actually want to spend time with. And so that was my escape. And those two things were the only things I had: my weekends to get away and also that May leave that I had in mind. Then COVID-19 happened, y'all. And when it happened, it was drastic. It was fast and it was changing every single day. It started off with COVID-19 is here. We don't really know what it is, but for right now, it's here. Okay, we kind of understand COVID-19, so no leave, can't go anywhere. Then the next thing you know, you can't even leave off post. And on top of that, those two things that were taken from me, that were helping me deal with my burnout, now I have to also try to adapt to the constant changes day in and day out. And so I was finding myself struggling, really struggling. And I started noticing a drastic decline in the overall balance of my well-being. So I'm going to try to give you an analogy that best describes and can paint a picture of what these restrictions have felt like for me. So imagine yourself in your room, and you spend a lot of your time in your room for this last week or so. Because of who you are, you just like you're lonesome. But you're allowed to go outside. And you look outside the window one day and you say, man, it looks really nice out. It's sunny. You can feel that nice breeze come through your window. And you're thinking, this might help. I think this is exactly what I need. I just need some fresh air. And you go outside for that fresh air. You're standing outside in the middle of a field and you're looking up at the sun and you're waiting outside for like 5 minutes to get some fresh air. And you're trying to figure out, why doesn't it feel so fresh? The air feels so dense. It's so dense. And you're trying to take in as much of that air as you possibly can, hoping that you can breathe in hopefully 50% of good air, because you really need it. But as you're doing that, you're only getting about 6 to 10% of good air, and the rest is just dense, thick air. So you're still fighting for air. And you go back inside and you tell yourself, it's just today. I'll try again tomorrow. And you try again tomorrow. Then you try again the following week. And some days you notice that the air is even more dense than it was that first day that you went out. So whether you're inside or you're outside trying to get fresh air, it still feels the same. You're still fighting for that release, from that feeling of being imprisoned and being caged, but neither one of them are helping. So that dense air that I'm talking about, that is the morale of the people around you. That is that depression that you feel that, when you interact with people. That is that anxiety that you feed off of when you're interacting with people that can't go home to their families, that can't move forward to their next duty station. That is some of the fear that you feel from people who don't understand what's going on and don't know when things will get better. All of that creates this dense air around you. So as you're trying to balance yourself, you're around it. You can't escape it. You can try to hide in your room because you notice when you go outside, it's too dense out. But in your room, it gets to a point where it also gets dense in there. You need some fresh air, but you can't get any fresh air because there's nowhere to get fresh air. Being around that kind of energy for someone like myself who is an empath, which I've talked about in one of my videos, is that kind of imprisonment that I was referring to in the analogy. That is the caged feeling that I also referred to in the analogy. I can't escape it. I'm forced to interact with people when I'm at work. So I find myself that on my downtime, I tend to really value that time to myself because I need it. That's my fresh air for right now. And as with any video that I make, there's always purpose behind it. At least I try to have a purpose behind whatever it is that I put out into the world. And so this one isn't about my circumstances or how I feel stuck. It is to bring awareness to the situation that I'm in. Some of you guys may feel the same way, or you might be feeling some type of way. I'm here to tell you that you're not alone, and what you're feeling is real. So thank you for listening. Hopefully this podcast brought you some type of comfort or peace, and I hope that you can find your balance. Until next time, bye.